Namaste. Today I am starting a new series, a series of spiritual podcasts. In this extensive series, I will be sharing certain stories with spiritual insights. This series is specifically for my close followers because whosoever is following me closely and relating with my sharing is indeed a very special person. And that is the whole purpose of this channel, to identify those selective people who are not just behind astrology, but who want to understand something that is beyond astrology. And with this thought in mind, I am starting with this new series, a series of spiritual podcasts. And today's episode is a beautiful episode. It is all about finding the true path to happiness. The great Sufi saint Rumi says, whatever you seek, you attain. So it all depends on what you are exactly seeking. And that is why I always like only those men and women who are not just seeking astrology, because astrology is dry, it's an arid land, and the oasis is the spirituality. And one who understands this becomes a real astrologer. Astrology should not occupy you. That is what is happening nowadays. People are just making astrology as God. Astrology is just a small part of this vast ocean called spirituality. And there is always 1% of possibility to change your destiny, to change your path. Yes, it is possible. It is possible, my fellows. And I say this only to my close followers. It is possible. But to make it possible, you have to start turning inwards. You have to start meditating. You have to raise the quality of your life. And let me tell you, the quality of life is not based on which brand of mobile phone you are using or which brand of car you are driving. The quality of life is based on the quality of your thoughts. So today I am very happy that I am starting with this new series, and whosoever will join me is certainly going to be very special person. So let's begin.
Yesterday somebody asked how to find happiness. Happiness is not ready-made. Happiness is something that comes from your own actions. What you give is what you get back. What you sow is what you reap. Happiness is not ready-made. If you desire to be happy, first you have to spread happiness around you. You cannot expect happiness by hurting everyone around you. That way, happiness cannot be experienced. By hurting someone, you can't be happy. If you cannot spread happiness, at least do not hurt anyone. A troubled person is always hurting others and ironically expecting happiness in return. That is not possible. To experience happiness, first you have to spread happiness. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. And these thoughts shape your life. You become what you think. When the mind is pure, joy follows like a shadow that never leaves. And such a joyous person has the ability to spread happiness, to bring a certain state of consciousness, certain joy in the life of those with whom he connects. Such a joyous person creates a wonderful, beautiful, and ever-expanding circle of joy. There is always abundance of joy in the heart of the Divine Master. Some call him a saint, some may call him a mystic, some may call him a yogi, and some may call him a Buddha. But no matter what he is called, as the one thing that remains common in all of them is the divine ocean of eternal peace, overflowing love and joy. The joy that you give to others is the joy that comes back to you multiplied. There was a gatekeeper and he was a monk. He was the gatekeeper of the famous Tango monastery located in the capital city of Thimphu. Thimphu is a very beautiful city, the capital of Bhutan. One day, a faithful farmer came with a basket of fresh apples to meet the gatekeeping monk. The monk was standing at the gate as he was a sincere gatekeeper. The farmer offered the basket of apples to the monk and said, "These apples are the finest apples of my farm, and I want to give these apples as a gift." The monk accepted the gift and said, "I will immediately hand over your gracious gift to the master. Right now, the master is in his abode." The farmer said, "Wait, I have actually brought these fresh apples for you. I want you to have this gift." "For me?" The monk blushed. He was such a simple man that he could not imagine that he deserved such a lovely gift of fresh apples. But the farmer insisted. He said, "Whenever I knocked on this gate, it was you who opened it, and when I was in the most difficult time of my life, it was you who helped me by giving me a piece of bread and a cup of wine every day. How can I forget your generous heart now that I have a good harvest of such lovely apples? I want you to have the very first bite of these juicy fresh apples of my farm. Please accept it as a gift, as a token of my love, my gratitude towards you." The monk could see tears of gratitude in the eyes of the farmer. How could he deny such a graceful heart? There was no chance of denial. So he gave a warm hug to the farmer, kissed him on his forehead, and accepted his gift of apples. The apples were truly special. They were large, bright red, and looked beautiful. They had a fine fragrance. Any apple lover would fall for their beauty. But the monk thought whatever he has learned was because of the gracious blessings of his benevolent master. And so, how on earth could he ever think of having those beautiful apples all for himself? That was not possible. So he immediately went to his master and offered all the apples to him. The master took the apples, smiled, and said, "In our monastery there is a very old monk who is not keeping well these days. Please call him so that I can hand over these apples to him. Who knows, these beautiful fresh apples may bring some joy to his life." And so all the fresh apples were passed on to that old monk. The old monk accepted the fresh apples, thanked the generous master who was always so kind, so caring, so loving towards those who would come to him. Delighted with the gift that he had just received from his divine master, the old monk went back to his abode. But before he could take the first bite of the apple, the face of Ikasu appeared before his eyes. Ikasu was the chief cook of the monastery. And the old monk said to himself, "Ikasu, the cook, has looked after me for so long, always feeding me only the best meals. I am sure he will enjoy these fresh apples. Let me give these beautiful creations of nature to Ikasu." And so the old monk gave all the fresh apples to Ikasu the cook. Ikasu was truly touched with this generous gift from the benevolent old monk. He took all the apples to his kitchen, and just when he was about to cut the very first apple, he remembered the chief priest. The chief priest was a very holy person. Moreover, he had once mentioned about his love for apples. He liked apples a lot, and Ikasu thought that it would not be fair to have these beautiful large apples for himself. So he went to meet the holy chief priest and gave him the basket of apples. The chief priest thanked the cook and accepted the gift with grace. When the chief priest was about to taste the apple, he thought it would be better to use these apples to inspire the young boy who was always asking him about the miracle of God. So he waited for the young boy, and when the boy came, he showed him the beautiful large apples and said, "Look how beautiful these apples are. You ask me every day about God and His miracles. Now tell me, what could be more miraculous than these beautiful large apples? The soil, the water, the weather, the rains, all of these are the tools of God through which He gives birth to such magnificent creations. I wanted to show you the work of God through His smallest details of creation." The young boy was truly touched by the insightful words of the holy priest. The apples were very beautiful and large. The chief priest said, "Now all these apples are for you. Take this as a gift, as a reminder of the wonderful creations of the Almighty God." The young boy received the apples, his heart filled with the glory of the Lord, for he had never seen such beautiful apples. But as he collected the apples, the young boy remembered the first time he came to the monastery, and of the person who had opened the gates for him. It was that gesture which had allowed him to be among the community of people who knew how to value the wonders of life. And so, just before nightfall, he took the apples to the monk, the gatekeeper, who was standing and guarding the gates of the monastery. The boy offered the apples to the monk and said, "Sir, please take these beautiful fresh apples as a gift from me. Because you allowed me to enter the premises of this magnificent holy monastery, I was able to meet the master and the chief priest who have enriched my thoughts with great values that I would never forget in my life. I am thankful to you for letting me in, and this is just a small token of love, of my gratitude towards you. Please accept this gift." The monk took the apples and realized that these were the same apples that the farmer had gifted him. His eyes became wet. Somehow he could not control his feelings and he started crying. He could sense the miracle of God, the divine ways of God, but the boy could not understand. So he asked, "What happened?" And the monk said, "Come here, you little boy, give me a hug." When the heart is filled with gratitude and love, a beautiful circle of joy is created. You see, this is how the grace of God works. This is how actions are rewarded. Life is defined by your karma. When you do good, good comes back to you. It is as simple as that. When you tend to be less selfish and more grateful, joy is going to come back in your life. Happiness is going to blossom and peace is going to stay in your life. The gift that the monk handed over to his master finally came back to him with a gracious thank you from the young boy. The farmer had gifted the fresh apples with love, and this time the same gift of apples came to him with more grace, more love than he had ever imagined. The joy that you give to others is the joy that comes back to you multiplied. Real joy comes from knowing deep inside that if we love unconditionally and give without expectation, then all that comes back is a true gift. And such a gift is worth having. Such a gift is the blessing of the Almighty, of the Divine Master. What a wonderful circle of joy this story illustrates. Every person in this story wants to do something good, something gracious for the other person in their life. How beautiful and touching this is, and that is how we see a circle of joy evolving, because when each one of them handed over the gift of apples to the other person, a certain joy, a certain happiness was felt in their heart. The gatekeeper monk, the master, the old monk, the cook, the holy priest, the young boy, they all simply felt happy every time they cared for the other person in their life. And this is how you too can experience happiness by loving and caring for that other person in your life. Doing good to others is not a duty. It is a joy for it increases your own health and happiness. Love grows, joy multiplies, and happiness blossoms when you spread happiness through your caring and loving nature. The more you spread love and happiness, the more you receive in return. You are born to spread happiness and not claim happiness. Happiness is not a birthright, it is a totally dependent on your own actions. Happiness is not ready-made. What you do for others comes back to you in multiplied form. Whether you are doing good or bad, from behind the curtains or in the open, your actions are recorded in the cosmic consciousness. And sooner or later, they are going to come back to you multiplied. So it is always wise to do as much good as you can for others, because finally it is the good that every individual in this world desires. Every action has a reaction. That is the law of this universe. That is the way karma is defined, and it is this karma of yours that eventually becomes the foundation of your destiny. You are defined by your karma. Doing good to others will bring happiness to your life. Doing bad to others will bring miseries in your life. Choose wisely, because what you choose is what you become. The reality is that doing good unto others actually does more good for you. Always remember this. Meditate.
ॐ गं गणपतये नमः। ॐ गं गणपतये नमः। ॐ गं गणपतये नमः।